Hello, good afternoon. I'm Trevor Wales. I run Trevor Wales Hypnotherapy Solutions. I'm based in St Austell in Cornwall, and I work with clients face-to-face and online. And I've been working online since 2011, and I've had clients all over the country and many places around the world. Now, in this time of coronavirus, I would imagine that any smokers that there are out there probably finding themselves, increasing their intake of tobacco, which, although it might give some short-term relief from stress, I think as a former smoker myself of many years, that I would bet that a lot of smokers out there are probably knowing that this is something which really isn't helping them. But, on the one hand, they're telling themselves it's perhaps helping them sort of cope with the difficult issues of anxiety, worry and stress. But also, having said that, it's probably costing them a lot more. I think most people, always complain about the high cost of tobacco. And literally, it is money going up in smoke. And there's not a lot that really can be done about that. I started smoking when I was 11 years old. And my reason for smoking was simply because I wanted to appear to be more confident amongst my peers, and it certainly was an emotional crutch for helping me, hide behind the cigarette, as it was, because the cigarette carried a lot of kudos back in those days. It said you were grown up, it said so much about you, and of course we had all the advertising from the tobacco industry to back that up. Complete pack of nonsense, really, when you stop and think about it. But there we have it. That was the world back then. And I'm probably speaking to more of people of my age and slightly younger who will no doubt remember all those cool adverts that we saw everywhere. And tobacco advertising had such a very strong monopoly until governments started to bring that in. Now I'm very keen to help people who want to quit smoking, and indeed you'll find me on the Central Register of Stop Smoking Therapists, and I've been a stop smoking therapist since I started my practice in 2011. Now, it is a plain fact that a lot of people who smoke will try many different methods, and in recent years vaping has taken quite a strong position in the minds of smokers. But now we equally understand that there are a lot of issues around vaping, and I'm not going to go into too much detail here, but I mean, back in the day when it was all new, we had medical experts, doctors and specialists on television saying it was all perfectly safe. And then there started to appear stories which cast a lot of doubt over that statement. And in actual fact, now you can't smoke or vape in so many places. And whilst you couldn't smoke for years, you could freely vape in a lot of places, but now that's also been restricted. So we've got issues like popcorn lung that have become prevalent, and there have been some very sad deaths, premature deaths with young people who've started vaping instead of smoking, and it's affected them badly. So my position as a quit smoking therapist is that I'm available to help people whether you're vaping or smoking. And in fact, when I first opened my practice down in St Austell, one of my very first clients wasn't a smoker. He was somebody that had given up, but he had subsequently become addicted to e-cigarettes and nicotine patches. And the raft of problems that person was experiencing was extensive, because what was happening, he could choose his own strength of nicotine, and he was combining both the gum and the e-cigarettes at the same time, and he became very addicted to it, because nicotine is a very highly addictive substance. It's also a very carcinogenic poison. I think it's a very small dose, less than 0.5 milligrams, I think, if memory serves me right, that can be absolutely deadly. And in fact, if you do your research, you'll find that there's a whole raft of information out there about the dangers of nicotine. It's a Part 1 controlled drug, and in fact it's used in many veterinary practices where it's used to put animals to sleep as well. So although we might think that nicotine is giving us a temporary relief from something, it really is, and we all know this as smokers, a deadly journey that we're on. Now, of course, with coronavirus being a respiratory problem, it's quite likely that it's putting you even more at risk, even though on a fringe study that was conducted very recently, something I saw in the press seemed to suggest that people who smoke were less likely to be at risk than people who didn't. But I've not seen anything else to back that up. But I mention that just in case, as a smoker, you've seen something like that and made you think, well, I'll continue. There's no good reason for continuing to smoke, because we all know that it's something which once we're engaged in, we go through those processes where we wish we'd never started smoking. Now, we can do something to help with the various therapies that I work with, and I've helped numerous people over my time in practice down here quit smoking for good. And as long as you've got that dedication and that commitment to wanting to stop, and that's the really important bit, you've got to be really in that place where you're so sick of smoking and you know the risks and you know the dangers, and you've just got to be committed to working with the process. And it's not a magic wand. If you've been smoking for sort of 20, 30 years, you might find it's going to take numerous sessions for the hypnosis to start to work. But it is a very effective form of treatment, and it has helped very many people. I'm always happy to talk to people about my experience and how I was able to give up smoking, and years later I understood exactly why in my situation I was able to give up smoking so pretty quickly, and at that time I was a 60-a-day smoker. But something about my story is worthy of relating, because I've gone into some detail on my Quit Smoking page. If you're at all interested, go and have a look it up and read about it, and you'll begin to see a little bit about how the unconscious mind works, how it does its best to keep us safe and protect us. And in my case, when I was able to quit smoking so quickly, I understood after many years of why that happened, because the unconscious mind made an executive decision that being able to breathe and not feeling like I was suffocating was more important than the perceived illusory benefits of using smoking as a crutch. Now, I offer a 30-minute free consultation, and at the moment, with the coronavirus lockdown, my therapy prices have been dramatically cut across the board. As a broad average, I charge £67 an hour. What I'm charging clients now is £45 per hour. An average session for quit smoking is about a 90-minute session. Everything is recorded onto CD or MP3 and is available for you to use. Some light smokers may be able to get by with maybe 1 or 2 sessions, and indeed I've got clients that have indeed quit in just a couple of sessions. Some hardened smokers may well take 6 or 7 sessions because there may be underlying issues, but those are things we will talk about in detail at the consultation, because at the start of this all I'll take a very detailed history and find out the reasons why, find out what you've tried to stop and how successful you've been, because some people are able to give up smoking for a period of time, but something else comes along and literally they find themselves in that position where they're smoking again. And that's really because using willpower alone, they've maybe managed to get to a point where they've been able to sort of hold on to that, but then a big emotional upset comes along. The unconscious trigger sort of looks at things and says, well, okay, let's start that smoking habit again because that tended to work before. And the reason that happens like it is because really what's not happened at the outset is that nothing's been done to sort of reframe the unconscious's position towards that need for smoking. And that's certainly what we address in Quit Smoking Therapy. The Quit Smoking hypnosis program that I use, by the way, is one of the only hypnosis programs that's ever been given an award for clinical excellence by the Hypnotherapy Society. It's been established many years now. I think it's about 20 years ago that it was first developed, and it's a program called Easy Quit Smoking by the Essex Institute of Clinical Hypnotherapy. And I found that it's a very, very reliable form of hypnosis, and it really has worked for lots of different clients that I've worked with. If you're at all interested and you want to find out more, then get in touch with me. My phone numbers are 01726 69703 or 07740 190 261 for the mobile. Look forward to speaking to you, and thank you for listening.